Hey guys, just before this episode starts, I just wanted to let y'all know that we were having some audio issues during this recording session. So if there seems like something's off this episode, just go ahead and bear with us. But we'll try to have it fixed by the next episode. And other than that, enjoy the episode. Welcome back to All Ball Podcast, where it's all ball all the time. You are here with your hosts, Sean and Isaiah, as always. This is episode number 15. Today we're going to talk about the Rockets' disappointing start to the season, the Warriors' surprisingly great start to the season, and how Kevin Durant is carrying the team. But before that, Isaiah, how you doing today, man?
I'm upset.
Yeah, me too.
As a Rockets fan, I'm very upset. I'm upset. I'm sad. I'm disappointed. Every negative emotion you can think of, I'm feeling it. Because there's no way that we actually lost to the Pistons. I refuse to believe that Jalen Green came out with such a great start. A beautiful first half, and I think even his third quarter was good. But we still lost to the Detroit Pistons.
It's okay, man. Let it out.
I'm going to just go ahead and dive into this.
All right.
First and foremost, like I said, I want to give Jalen Green his credit for having an amazing start. Things got a little bit shaky, especially in the fourth quarter. But that first half he had was really good. Let's not forget the dunk where he just blew by Cade and yelled in his face. So I want to give Jalen Green his credit. That was a beautiful start to the game. Now, I want to first rip into Kevin Porter Jr. because he has by far been the most disappointing player on this team this season in terms of the expectations we had versus how he's actually playing. There is zero reason that a point guard should be shooting 57% from the free throw line in a game. On 14 free throws. On top of that, why are you 4 of 11 from the field? Oh my God. Kevin Porter Jr. has this, words cannot describe how frustrating it is to watch him play. The part that really kills me is the turnovers with him. I don't think I've seen a game since the start of the season where he had less than 5 turnovers. And he's even had some games where he was pushing double digits. So at which point is he supposed to live up to this 10 assists per game standard that he set for himself at the start of the season? Well, before the season started. Because I'm not seeing it.
I don't think he's hit 10 assists once all season.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about that doesn't sound like per game. Yeah.
I think he got the 10 assists confused with 10 turnovers. Hey man, I don't know, man. He's getting more and more expendable by the day, by the game. Man, I wouldn't even be surprised they trade that man for Killian Hayes. I mean,
no.
No, I'm playing. He ate that trash, but come on, he's playing pretty bad. He's playing pretty bad.
Hayes. You know what? He's putting up Killian Hayes efficiency, so maybe it might be worth it.
No, I mean, I don't know. He's been so disappointing. It felt like at the beginning of the season, okay, he's kind of getting used to it. You know, new point guard role. But after, at least like 7 games, you would hope that he starts to show some kind of progress, some kind of turnaround to where these turnovers aren't as frequent, and the turnovers that are happening aren't like careless turnovers. It seems like he just wants to force the ball into places that there's like no space to force them at all.
Yeah. Kevin, you do not have the needle threader badge.
No,
You can't just
no,
throw the
no.
ball wherever and expect it to get to the person just off sheer force of will. That's not how real life works.
Nah, man, and on top of that, like you were saying, what do you call it? The free throw shooting that has plagued this team all season long, and we've lost games because of that. We've been in games by 1 point. We lost to the Lakers by 1 point. We make one more free throw, we're in that game. We take it to overtime. We make 2 more free throws. Obviously, we win the game. But this team doesn't want to make free throws. Don't know why. You're wide open. You're standing still. Probably the easiest shot in the game other than a layup. What are we doing? How can we not make free throws? But we can, we get threes. That doesn't make sense. And then,
I'm looking at it, and he is actually shooting 68% from the free throw line for the season.
68%. Is Christian Wood shooting better than him?
Let me see. Christian Wood is at 53.
Who has the highest free throw percentage on our team?
I'm looking by player, so I'm gonna just go out of like our starting lineup and our 6-man and see.
Okay.
Okay, Jalen Green is at 76.5.
Okay, I was able to pull it up.
Okay.
The guy that has oh my God. I want you to take a guess, because these 3 players, I'll name these 4 players that have 1,000 or, haven't missed a free throw. Daniel House, DJ Augustine, Armani Brooks, Josh Christopher. But they haven't really, played a lot.
They're not guys getting minutes. That's exactly why I was like, I'm going to just look at our starting lineup and our 6-man, because these are the main people who would be shooting free throws.
I want you to name who you think our leading free throw shooter other than those 4 guys.
You see, because the way you're saying it sounds like it should be a surprise, I'm going to say it's Daniel Theis.
It's Daniel Theis.
Yep, of course. Of course. Because Jalen, first of all, it was a struggle for Jalen Green to even be allowed to shoot free throws. Don't know what the refs were on there. And then even so, he misses some here and there. So that's the way it is. But then, we look at our other guys. Jae'Sean Tate, he was at like 70-ish last season, I believe, too. So I don't expect him to just magically jump higher in one season. And then you have Kevin Porter Jr., who's shooting Giannis percentages from the free throw line for whatever reason. And then Christian Wood, who he thinks the free throw line is a 3-point line. Christian Wood, he's shooting what would be a good 3-point line percentage from the free throw line. I don't know if he realizes that one of those is worth 3 points and the other one is worth 1. So you shouldn't be shooting comparable percentages there.
Yeah.
And even I shouldn't even say comparable, because his actual 3-point percentage is not comparable to his free throw percentage. It's good at 38.6%, but again, that's not comparable to 53.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's our Kevin Porter Jr. is our 4th lowest free throw shooter, percentage wise. Christian Wood shooting 52%. Christian, oh man, this upsets me. And then like David Nwaba, like Şengün, I kind of understand why he's not shooting that well. Like, he's never been like a true shooter. I guess like coming out, he wasn't like supposed like this, flamethrower from the 3-point line or whatever. And he
Yes,
does get
the
fouled a
main
lot.
thing about his free throw line the main thing about his trips to the free throw line is always the fact that he talks to the ball. Didn't hear anything about him necessarily being a good free throw shooter. It was always, what does he say to the ball? Why does he talk to the ball? Like, okay, can we talk about the actual game, please?
Yeah. I don't know. This free throw shooting is going to have to be fixed soon because we are losing a lot of games because of our poor efficiency from the line.
And even besides that, the real main thing that we need to cut down on is useless, unnecessary turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we weren't as terrible as usual in this Pistons game. We are at 13 as opposed to our usual 20.
Mm-hmm.
But still, there are a lot of turnovers we get that we should not be getting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of like laziness. I wouldn't say laziness, but like it just very unaware, not aware what's going on around you, like type of turnovers, and it's frustrating because this is stuff that shouldn't be happening. I get a couple turnovers here and there whenever you're driving to the paint, you think you get fouled, but
yeah, it's like
you lose the ball.
those happen. Or maybe defense traps you. You can't force the pass out. They get the steal. That happens.
Right.
But you're bringing the ball up the court and you just throw a lazy, casual pass. I don't know if you realize that you're in a professional league, but the other team isn't playing like that. You can't just, I'm going to dribble. Here's a little lob pass to a person on the perimeter. Yeah, no, that's not how that works. Yeah, I don't know why they care so much about him talking to the ball instead of his actual shooting. I get it's a funny, quirky thing, but we should focus on actual basketball when our team is this bad. There's no reason we should be 1-10 right now. And then really we're playing the Trailblazers tonight, so 1-11.
I mean, I wish I could say I would think we could pull out a win. I think we could, but the way we're playing, I don't think so. The one game, or like actually the two, that I really had circled for the schedule was the Pistons and then the Cavs because of Mobley and then Cade. But I'm just looking for any win. I'm just looking any team. Please just do really bad, so we could do okay if we could win a game. Please, I just want to win one more. It's been like 2 weeks since we won a game, and now I'm like thinking back to the what do you call it? The streak last year of when we lost 20 in a row. Was it 20 or 22?
I know for sure it was the only ones that I remember for sure. It was we lost like 15 straight because Christian Wood was out all of those games because that's when the streak started. But yeah, I remember we kept losing some when he came back, but I don't remember the exact number because it just got to a breaking point where I couldn't even watch the team anymore.
Yeah. So the other person that I want to talk about that is, I guess you could say, really hurting the team is the coach, Stephen Silas. Man, this offense that we're running, when it's not working, it just resorts to ISO basketball. And this is reminding me of when James Harden, the rest of the team wasn't shooting well, and James Harden just kind of tried to take over, and then he wasn't hitting, so this team just wouldn't score at all. And I don't want to go down that, back down that road because I think this team could be a lot better than that. A lot better than the Mike D'Antoni, just, everyone's in the corner, let James pass it to you whenever you get open. I think this team could initiate their offense in so many different types of ways because I feel like our team is learning, but they're still yet somehow versatile. Like, we have a couple of, good slashers like Kenyon Martin, Jalen Green can slash pretty well. We have good shooters. Eric Gordon was leading the 3-point percentage for the league at one time, like a week ago or something like that. And we have a good, big guy down in the post, Christian Wood. So I don't know what Steven Silas is doing. I've talked about this before. I've said this before. I don't know what offense we're running, but it's not working, and it has to change.
And I think another part of it, outside of his actual X's and O's coaching, is his interpersonal, in terms of how he interacts with his players. I feel like he's too soft on them. I remember during the Pistons game, there was an interview with one of the sideline reporters. I don't remember which one, but she was told him about the turnovers. They only had 2 or 3 in a quarter, and he had this joking sigh of relief. And that's fine. That's fine. But the line that he said after that joking sigh of relief was, yeah, we have a turnovers problem, and we talk about it, but at the same time, we don't talk about it.
Oh, I did see that, yeah.
And that really, that rubbed me the wrong way, because we're leading the league in turnovers. It's an embarrassing amount. We're essentially losing ourselves games between the free throws and the turnovers. And you talk about it, but don't talk about it. What do you even mean by that? There shouldn't be a kind of sort of, no, that is one of the main reasons why we're losing games. So there should not be any reason why there's question about how you go about addressing that with your team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So all last year I gave, Steven Silas the benefit of the doubt because he was, first year on the team, rookie coach, and he had a whole new team. His team was changing around him every single day. But now that, this team kind of feels established for the most part, other than probably Eric Gordon might get traded or Daniel House or something like that. Are you kind of like, I want to say jumping off the Silas train, but are you like kind of thinking about maybe whether or not he, should be coaching this team anymore?
I wasn't.
Is it already to that point?
No, I wasn't thinking about it until I heard that line. Because now it really brings, I feel like as a coach, you need to have a certain level of abrasiveness in order to give players that sense of, this is somebody that needs to be respected. This is somebody that absolutely knows what they're talking about. This is somebody who's going to push us to be the best team we can be. But when you're out here half addressing one of the main issues with the team, it's hard for the fans to even respect your basketball knowledge at that point. So how are the players supposed to do so when these people, they eat, breathe, and sleep the game? So if you're out here ignoring one of the main problems that the team is having, or half ignoring it since you talk about it but don't talk about it, that's probably part of the reason why the team resorts to iso ball so much, because they just they don't have that proper sense of respect for him as a coach and his offense that he draws up.
Yeah. And it's like where when we start isoing, that's where most of our turnovers come. It's like, if our dribble handoffs aren't working, which they never do, we resort to ISO, and then that's where our turnovers come from. And, it's just like a domino effect. And at this point, I don't know, Silas, you gotta do something to change my mind about how I'm starting to feel about you, because, you look at coaches like Greg Popovich, one of the best coaches ever, other than like Phil Jackson, but, that he doesn't sugarcoat things. Popovich is going to tell it how it is, and that's got him. I mean, obviously he had Tim Duncan and some other great guys on the team, but that's why one of the reasons why he has 5 chips.
Yeah, even when you look at some guys who weren't all-time greats on his team, like, DeMar DeRozan's time there. He maximized DeMar DeRozan to the best he had been in his career at that point.
Mhm.
So clearly Popovich, outside of his all-time great players, he knows what he's doing. And I hate to compare a guy in his second year of coaching to somebody of the genius basketball level such as Greg Popovich. But I mean, even if we look at some of the coaches for the other young teams around the league, for instance, the Pistons, who we just got embarrassed by, Dwayne Casey, he's a tenured coach, so there's clearly some level of, all right, this guy obviously knows what he's doing more than our coach. But still, between here and his days with the Raptors, he's shown that he knows how to get the best out of a young team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then look at what Nate McMillan did with the Hawks. Even what he was doing with the Pacers when he was there. There are coaches who can bring out the best in a young team. So that's where I can't even put the blame on our players for, oh, they're just too young. It's a deeper problem with that. And yeah, Silas he needs to do something to get it together.
Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about one more thing about Stephen Silas, because this one is one of the things that really upset me the most. I was watching the Pistons game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he ran a lineup out there: Christian Wood, David Nwaba, Jae'Sean Tate, Eric Gordon, and I don't remember if it was Daniel House or Jalen Green. That's basically a 4-guard lineup. Because David Nwaba, I mean, yes, he's really a 3, but he's almost has the build of a 2. Eric Gordon's a 2. Jalen Green's a 2. Jae'Sean Tate is a
he's a
forward,
3-4,
undersized forward.
Yeah.
Like, what is that lineup? That's no spacing at all, other than Gordon and Green and kind of Christian Wood.
Mm-hmm.
Jae'Sean Tate's not really that great of a shooter. He could shoot it sometimes. David Nwaba can't shoot for his life. What are these lineups where David Nwaba should not be getting any minutes? But we'll see what happens. We'll see how this team works it out. Hopefully in the next week or two, and they can turn it around, maybe win a game. Hopefully, but right now this season was supposed to be exciting, and it's the complete opposite. It's actually very disappointing.
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is the Warriors?
Yeah, I've talked enough about this team.
Okay. All right. So the Warriors off to a great start. I believe they're 10-1 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about them?
First, gotta give credit to Steve Kerr. Really been proving all the doubters wrong who are like, oh, he needs superstars playing at their highest level to be a good No, Steve Kerr knows what he's doing. Because in many of these 10 wins, Steph played terribly. But the Warriors still managed to stick it out, pull the win out. So off that alone, that shows that Steve Kerr is doing a great job in coaching his team, whether it be in the lineups or just the plays that he's drawing up. He knows what he's doing. On top of that, people don't give Draymond Green enough of his credit for the defensive presence that he brings to the team and the playmaking as well. Also,
Right.
Iguodala coming back was another important thing. Playmaking and defense. He's Draymond, but you can kind of sort of respect his shot more depending on the night. And that's pretty much that. And then, yeah, just Wiggins coming out and having a solid, respectable career with the Warriors. Jordan Poole being very inconsistent, but being an aggressive young player. And then on top of that, you have their bench guys, Nemanja Bjelica, Otto Porter Jr., who are both having great shooting years. I remember in this most recent Timberwolves game, Gary Payton II was having a time out there, and he's a good defensive presence. And same thing with Juan Toscano Anderson. So big shout out to the Warriors because this team is not even fully healthy, and they're already looking playoff ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Jordan Poole is one of the team's like greatest, surprises to come out here. He's been shooting really well this season. And then like Wiggins, it's like he's on the court, but his points just like rack up out of nowhere. He'll just be running around and everything. You're like, oh, you look at the scoreboard, he has 15 points. Like, where'd that come from? And then Steph, well, when he lights it up, and you can't really stop him. You could put the whole team on him. You could put all 13 players on the bench and the 5 guys, or not 13. What do you call it? Whatever. How many people are on the bench and then the starting people on the court? He'll still make the shot. And then I don't know, man. Wait for this team to get Clay back. This team is going to be scary again. I mean, they already are kind of scary, but when Clay comes back, if he comes back healthy, like doesn't get injured again.
Honestly, based on the way the team's playing now, he doesn't even need to come back healthy per se. He just needs to come back. Obviously, as a shooter, his shooting should not take a dip at all.
All right, so the next topic we're going to talk about is KD and how he's carrying the Nets this season. In my opinion, right now, him and possibly Steph are 2 of the MVPs of the league. Isaiah, what are your thoughts about this?
I just want to admit that once again, I was wrong. Kevin Durant has completely surprised me because James Harden has surprised everyone. At the beginning of the season, I believed that there was no way Kevin Durant even had a chance at winning MVP because he had James Harden on his team, who typically is an MVP caliber player. Now, James Harden has come out to a peculiar start to the season, to say the least. So Kevin Durant has had to tighten his straps and throw the team on his back. And that is an understatement because he has absolutely stolen the show in every game that this team has played at this point.
Yeah, this team would not be where it is right now if Kevin Durant did not put this team on his back. This team, with the way James Harden is playing, Kyrie out, if Kevin Durant wasn't just tearing apart every team that he's been playing, this team would probably be 5-7, I think. I mean, James Harden could win you a couple games by himself, but at the way he's been playing this season because of rule changes and all that,
Mm-hmm.
It's been a rough season for James, but for Kevin, this like I said, he might win the MVP this year if he continues playing the way he's playing to begin the season. But at the same time, though, you would hope James comes around because you kind of want to lighten the load for KD, hope that he doesn't get hurt again. I know he was, he was came off that, what was that, Achilles, right? His Achilles tear. So I think that, just hopefully James Harden finally comes around because you got to take some of that pressure off Kevin Durant. He can't do it the whole season. I think he could do it most of the season, but the whole season is a lot to ask from him.
Yeah, especially when you actually look at the numbers and you see that he is shooting 58.5% from the field. That is, I want to say that it.
Hey guys, so this is where our audio cuts out for the rest of the episode, so we're going to have to end it there. And that's also why we changed topics so quickly earlier. But as always, though, even though it was a rough episode, Like the podcast, subscribe, comment down below, and share with your friends. And go follow our Instagram at All Ball Podcast YT. And we will see you next week.